When we think of a zombie apocalypse, we usually picture the slow, shambling Walking Dead searching for fresh brains, popularized by George A. Romero. But in 2002, director Danny Boyle changed that nightmare forever. He didn't give us walking corpses. He gave us sprinters with blood-red eyes and an unquenchable thirst for violence. In the universe of 28 Days Later, the world doesn't end with a nuclear bang, a war, or a natural disaster. It ends with a single drop of blood. Just one drop of infected blood, and 20 seconds later your humanity is deleted, permanently. Today, following the successful release of the blockbuster 28 years later, The Bone Temple, we are reopening the classified dossier on the Rage virus, one of the deadliest and fastest spreading pathogens in cinema history. We won't just look back at the past. We are going deep into its terrifying evolution after nearly 3 decades. From mindless predators to intelligent variants known as the alphas. Hello to all the curious souls returning to Mr. Ghoul Explains. Tighten your backpack straps, check your gas mask, grab your rations, and let's hit the road. And I am Mr. Ghoul. Origins of the Rage virus. Every great catastrophe begins with good intentions. The Rage virus was not a biological weapon designed for mass murder. Ironically, it was born to cure anger. At the Cambridge Primate Research Centre in the UK, scientists were attempting to find a way to control aggressive behavior and psychological disorders in humans. They developed a neural inhibitor and tested it on chimpanzees, the species with the closest genetic makeup to our own. But nature has a dark sense of humor. Instead of inhibiting aggression, the compound mutated when combined with a virus structurally similar to Ebola. The result was a pathogen that stimulated the brain's limbic system, the control center for emotions, driving it into overdrive. It didn't eliminate anger, it distilled it. It created a state of pure rage, locking the infected into a permanent state of extreme fury and a compulsion to destroy everything in sight. The real disaster began when a group of animal rights activists, driven by misplaced compassion, broke into the lab. Ignoring the desperate warnings of the scientists that the animals were infected, they opened the cages. The result? A chimpanzee lunged out, attacking and biting a female activist. She became patient zero. From that moment, the Reaper raised his scythe, and the countdown to the collapse of human civilization officially began. Infection mechanics and biology. What makes the Rage virus the most terrifying doomsday scenario? The answer lies in 2 factors: speed and brutality. Unlike traditional zombie viruses that take hours or days to turn a host, Rage operates on the 20-second rule. Transmitted through blood and bodily fluids, saliva, mucous membranes of the eyes or mouth, the virus attacks the central nervous system with the speed of a rocket. Picture this: you get bitten. Second 5, the virus enters the bloodstream. You feel a burning sensation like fire spreading from your organs to your skin. Second 10, violent muscle spasms begin to tear away your self-control. Second 15, the capillary system is destroyed, causing massive hemorrhaging. The sclera of your eyes turns a characteristic deep crimson. Blood pours from your eyes, nose, and mouth. And at second 20, you are no longer you. The human part, reason, memory, love, is switched off. All that remains is endless rage. Biologically, the virus forces the adrenal glands to pump adrenaline continuously into the bloodstream. This eliminates pain and fatigue, turning the host into a biological machine that pushes far beyond human limits. They can sprint without resting, crawl with broken legs without pausing for a second, smash their hands through tempered glass without feeling pain, and chase prey into deep water until they drown or their hearts explode from exhaustion. But remember this crucial detail: these poor deranged souls, they are not undead. Their hearts still beat, their lungs still breathe. They are the infected, living humans hijacked by the virus, not rotting corpses with reanimated brains like zombies. This explains their terrifying running speed. They are not limited by decaying muscles. And because they are alive, they can still die from starvation, dehydration, or fatal wounds just like any of us. Behavior of the infected. One of the most fascinating characteristics of the infected is their herd mentality. Have you ever wondered why thousands of these frenzied maniacs don't tear each other apart? The widely accepted theory is that the virus causes the host to secrete a specific pheromone or alters body odor, allowing them to recognize their own kind. Their sole goal is to attack the uninfected. They beat, bite, and vomit on victims not to eat them, but to spread the infection. The virus wants to replicate, and it uses the host as a highly efficient delivery system. However, the virus's perfection encountered a variable: genetics. Weaknesses of the rage virus. Fundamentally, rage hosts are still human. They lose their sanity and succumb to feral instincts. Their endocrine and hormonal systems adjust for a predatory lifestyle in the wild, but their core biological structure remains unchanged. For this reason, fatal trauma to vital organs like the brain, heart, or spine is still enough to kill an infected. Additionally, 28 years later, Dr. Kelson utilized iodine applied all over the body as a defensive measure. Iodine is a strong antiseptic that oxidizes and destroys proteins, creating a scent that repels the infected. He also used high-dose morphine to temporarily subdue an alpha under certain conditions. Asymptomatic carriers. 28 weeks later, we witnessed the case of Alice Harris and her son, Andy. They possessed a rare genetic mutation, marked by heterochromia, that made them immune to the psychological effects of the virus. Alice was bitten. She carried the virus in her blood. Her eye hemorrhaged slightly, but she did not go mad. She became an asymptomatic carrier. This is a double-edged sword. Their blood could hold the key to a vaccine, but they themselves are walking, silent biological bombs. Anything involving their bodily fluids carries the rage virus. The fateful kiss between Alice and her husband, Don, proved this. Don was infected instantly, and London, which had just been repopulated, fell for the second time in a sea of fire. The collapse of England. In just a few weeks, the epidemic swept across Britain at an unprecedented speed. Initially, infections were mistaken for civil riots due to the extreme aggression of the patients. By the time the government realized the true nature of the catastrophe, the control systems had utterly collapsed. 15 days after the initial outbreak, the entire United Kingdom was placed under absolute quarantine, monitored by NATO and the UN. By day 28, the majority of the population was dead or infected, wandering the streets. Fortunately, the rage virus cannot cross species to non-primates. This specific trait prevented the plague from spilling beyond British borders in the early stages. However, to understand how a single virus could wipe out a nation, we must look deeper into the terrifying physiological changes the rage virus induces. 28 years later, evolution and adaptation. And now, we arrive at the most critical part. What happened after 28 long years when the virus ran out of people to infect? The rage virus didn't die. It learned to survive. It evolved. The infected are no longer mindless runners who starve after a few weeks. They have formed a new ecosystem with 3 main variants, simple, yet incredibly deadly. The slow lows. These are the remnants of older generations or those who adapted poorly. With pale skin and bloated bodies, they move by crawling or dragging themselves. They no longer actively hunt humans but dig into the earth for worms and insects, but do not underestimate them. Slow lows act as living sirens. When they detect the living, their screams tear through the night, summoning the pack. More importantly, They have begun to show protective behavior toward their own, a sign of primitive emotion, as if mourning a family member. The fast ones. This is the upgraded version of the infected we saw in the first film, but there is a major difference. They have learned to eat and drink to sustain life, rather than ignoring these needs until they withered and starved. They hunt animals in packs to ambush and surround prey. They drink from streams. The virus seems to have evolved to reduce hemorrhaging. They have adapted to become durable predators in a harsh environment. The rage virus has rendered them seemingly immune to common diseases and the elements, even as they roam nearly naked. The alphas. Finally, the most dangerous variant. These are the true nightmare. Certain individuals have undergone deep mutations, causing superior muscle and bone development. The alpha no longer twitches in madness. They are calm. They are patient. Unlike previous infected who attacked solely to spread the virus, alphas attack and kill to eat to feed the pack. When rage gains intelligence, humanity is no longer at the top of the food chain. An alpha can observe, assess situations, and solve complex problems, including tracking prey. An alpha usually leads a pack of fast ones, acting as a commander during the hunt. They are no longer a mindless mob. They are a tribe. They signal attacks and coordinate the pack much like wolves. An alpha's physical strength far exceeds that of a human, able to rip a soldier's head and spine out with bare hands or run at incredible speeds. They can withstand massive damage, continuing to fight even when riddled with arrows. Immense strength, intelligence, patience, ambush tactics, and leadership. These traits make the alpha a severe threat to any survivors. Dr. Kelson, Alpha Samson and the hope of humanity. Dr. Kelson, a character holding the key that could change the fate of humanity. Through his optimism, his kindness even amidst hell, his decent treatment of the infected, and absolute patience after decades of research, he received a worthy reward in the form of an alpha named Samson. Dr. Kelson discovered a fatal weakness in rage biology. Although the virus hijacks the brain, neural receptors still respond to chemicals. He used iodine smeared over his body as an invisibility cloak, the strong antiseptic scent fooling the infected's keen smell, making them think he wasn't prey. But more importantly, Kelson used high doses of morphine and homemade inhibitor compounds to switch off the rage in Samson. What happens when the rage is lulled to sleep? This is the most chilling moment. Consciousness returns. Through Samson, we see a heartbreaking truth. The rage virus doesn't kill human reason. It locks it in a glass room filled with hallucinations. It forces the host to see uninfected humans as distorted monsters that must be destroyed at all costs. When Kelson's drugs took effect, Samson was no longer a monster. He recalled old memories. He could speak. He ate wild berries slowly and calmly, and even attacked other infected to defend himself in the train sequence. It can be said that Samson fully regained his humanity in the final scene when he spoke to and carried Dr. Kelson to be buried. But does Samson now possess antibodies? Will a cure for the rage virus truly be discovered and mass-produced, given that Dr. Kelson died before publishing his results? And how will the rage virus evolve to counter this cure, considering we clearly saw the infected pack ready to turn on Alpha Samson when he showed signs of regaining his humanity? And how will the story of Jim, the hero from the first 28 days, unfold in the final chapter? What ending awaits humanity in this legendary zombie franchise? Will it be hope, total extinction, or perhaps the rise of a new species led by their new leader, Samson? All will soon be answered in the final, currently untitled installment of the series. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like and subscribe to support Mr. Ghoul Explains. Hello, and I will see you in the next explanation video. And I am Mr. Ghoul.